Hey, Yiska,
Yo,
what are the worst moments in Overwatch League history?
I mean, let's be honest, there have been some beefs. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's not your day. Sometimes it's not your year. Sometimes plays are emblematic. Sometimes they're very out of character for a player. There's everything in between. Sometimes the play is just a moment. Sometimes the play is like an entire map of just like a bad idea executed in an even worse fashion.
Sure.
It's complete clown shoes, very frequently in the Overwatch League, unfortunately. I think it is fair to say that the selection that is about to commence is not actually the absolute worst place ever, but in the feeling of the community and in myself, how much have they hurt me? Okay. How often have I woken up and gone like, hey, Britt, you gotta hit one. Okay.
You take these personally. You've taken these ones personally.
Yeah. Yes. And there are very likely worse ones, right? But and I think they're also over their history, especially in the later seasons. They're just teams that just have been shambolic, right?
Yeah.
I will also tell you there's 0-1s of the 0-42 Shanghai Dragons in here, which probably would also be warranted. But it is there's a level of badness where it just gets flushed from your memory, right? So sometimes are just too bad to remember. It is in the contrast of other play, in the relevance of the cultural zeitgeist at the time that really makes it a truly bad play.
Let's get into it. These are the worst moments in Overwatch League history, as chosen by Yiska and his Twitter followers.
Let's start with it's unfair to this kid, okay? He wasn't a bad player. It wasn't really his thing, but this man's mishaps actually became language, okay? Sometimes plays are so bad that they create words themselves. There are other times where people like do something incredible and then they get like a metric like a flatter deadlift. Sometimes people just have an absolute stinker moment and they create a word out of it. This one is the notorious meme MP. So
set up Sombra for those.
we're setting up. Oh my god, this guy. So we're in Sombra meta.
Yep.
During this time, Sombra's neutral, atrocious. Okay. Very few. There's not too much value to be gained. And it's really all like about winning fights with the ultimate. Right? So there's a thing that my grandma used to say about me when I was a young boy growing up in terms of like my ability to just screw the pooch in certain things. And the translated version of it would be, what you pick up with your hands, you throw down with your ass. Okay.
Okay. Very succinct.
And this is this play in a nutshell. Okay. So watch this.
EMPs. You need to distract the backline to allow your Sombra to get off the big EMP sometimes. And that kind of coordination is sometimes absent.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and Jesus just been found out. 10 seconds remaining. They're waiting for the EMP.
Okay, so here, Assassin, Pog, gets Sado, gets a tank. This is big. This fight is almost over. 72% of the time during that season, if you get the first kill, much more so even on the tank, this is now a one fight. Have fun with this one.
EMP engage, but no one's in position. Sado goes down. Assassin! Assassin! Someone call E-Sick! Someone call the Esports Commission! Integrity Commission! Get them online! What is that? Call the SPI! What is going on? What is happening? Pause. Okay. Maybe that's going to explain it.
The pause didn't explain it.
No.
So
So try to explain it.
it's one of the worst fat fingers of all time, right? So he gets the kill here,
Yep.
right? And then this man, a tactic that Sombras very often did is like throw the teleporter, you teleport, and then you go EMP because you have you're in the air. There's less obstructions, you get more targets, right?
Sure.
This man did it the other way around. It's a complete toss of a perfectly good fight after already having contributed to the very crucial kill of Sado. It's now like worse than everyone's game because Isu still has ultimate.
Yeah.
And I believe they actually end up losing the fight as well.
It's
This-
almost
This EMP just dominated social media after a while. It's also, to be fair, in the context of he did this a couple of times during the season. And also he sometimes unduly got shit for it because sometimes you have to gamble. This is not one of those times.
I think it's even more. It's almost. It's worse. It's sadder because he almost does everything right.
Yes.
Like he does so well, and then like the muscle memory of 5 years of playing of however long it was of playing Overwatch just goes out the window for a second,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
game.
It's game.
So from
Next one.
from assassin failing to assassinate, why are we going next?
Okay, let's. Okay, so we said like play is. We'll make it a stretchable term because sometimes it's not just one fight that's lost, right? Sometimes someone comes up with an idea that's like super counterintuitive, right? Like sometimes do you ever catch yourself thinking like, oh, I have an idea. Weird that nobody else thought about this. When in reality, the reason why everyone has probably thought about this, everyone has just realized it's a stupid idea and you shouldn't do it.
Sure.
Well,
every
why
day,
not do it in the
every
Overwatch
day.
League? Why not just do it in front of 150,000 viewers still watching it during the time? And it's saucy. Attack Junkrat into high ground en route. What a nightmare. Maybe just one representative fight, because I'm telling you, I'm not going to bore you or kill your soul with 4 minutes of this attack. Okay.
Okay.
So as you can see, we're like a couple of pushes in. Saucy is at 42% ult charge. Most of it is passive. Playing into double shield. I guess the idea is Junkrat is good at killing shields or something. So let's just watch it and just like
with a Junkrat and a Symmetra.
love how
I'm not sure
how stupid
where
this
they
is
think they're going to
in-
be able to get
on
value
several
from this, but
levels.
they've got to close the gap. They need to make these sight lines really short in order to get value.
I
from
love how
Saucy
they're
guys.
upselling this terrible
Look,
idea.
sometimes you just want to play Junkrat, lob some grenades. Surely that's going to be enough pressure. Although Saucy, considering the flank for now, staying
I
with
mean,
the
I
team.
like the kind of
they're hoping to set this up with a teleporter
casting.
some form or way. But guess what, Terrace? They've seen everything. The recon site coming out here from Mexi, and if nothing else,
They
is
will
gonna slow down
continuously
the rain a
try
little
to
bit more. You
get
don't wanna
like
push into it.
teleports going.
Definitely.
And now they just want to like dominate from below,
There's
but
a lot
it's not
of
very
movement, but not
effective
a lot of
because
team fighting
I mean,
happening
look at
here.
this. The
2
Orisa
minutes
can just stand
left
there
right
and
now
just
for the
contest
Reign
card.
as they
And what now?
Continue
right?
trying to warp
Yes, they need to
the
cycle
rules and
around
logic
shields and
of
whatnot.
Overwatch
And
before our
Orisa
very
was
eyes.
different at the time.
And it's
Right
they're
now,
only
Orisa
at
still had her
60%
shield
of their
herself.
Saucy, that is.
But
The
like,
Junkrat
look
is
at how
only
much time they
60%
just
here,
waste.
and it's
They
been
don't have to
2.5
engage.
minutes. So this is some
They are
slow
actually
build.
getting a
Being
little bit
denied
more push than
any
Orisa
ability
need
to
to.
build a
Then, of course, and best get Saucy as well. In a double shield comp that really can't really even destroy. Like there's just no excuse dying here either.
It's all about the climax, Josh. It's all about the payoff. Saucy's almost there, even as Xe is taking down his entire team. Is this the best Junkrat story
Here's the
ever
first
told?
tire.
The tire is out. Most
Where's the
died. The tire died. I tried to hype it up. I tried so hard. It just doesn't happen. And now the Eternal gonna be holding.
My mental is getting shattered here, CC.
Yeah, Josh selling that. Like Josh is one of the best people to cast like atrocious moments. Okay, like get him in every toilet bowl he can. Okay. Yeah, just it's not a singular play, right? It's a 4-minute
performance.
nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's like unwillingness to switch off as well is just insanity.
So, with that, thankfully, behind us, where are we going next?
Look, there are plays that are so bad, they could be iconic. But my iconic list was already full, so we're putting it in worst. Now, there's some unfairness to this, okay? It's not as bad as it looks. The guy wasn't on his hero. He was a victim of the circumstances. Others that are very skilled actually did it worse than him. Once again, there's one thing to be said about people that define like abilities. Like, for instance, the meme MP. It's an entirely different thing to have a play that defines a unit of time. Okay. And it's, of course, the AKM blade. So, to give you a brief overview, if we go further here, right? It's AKM.
Yep.
And AKM is not a Genji player. AKM, first and foremost, is a hit scan player. Okay. The peculiar thing about AKM as a hit scan player, it was that he also had a Pharah. So he had some sort of projectile in there.
Sure.
None of those were Genji. And due to like internal conflicts and whatnot, and them also not having a Genji player at the time, AKM has to play Genji. Now, you can imagine they are roughly, I mean, I'm simplifying, but there are two crucial skills to playing Genji well. The first one is getting your blades off and scoring value there, right? You don't necessarily have to kill, but you have to put a ton of pressure out, at best wipe.
Yeah.
The other one is getting as many blades as possible. Now, what if I tell you this man was basically at passive charge rate? It didn't score much damage whatsoever. And it's hard, right? Like, he's playing into Teresa with shields and whatnot. There are not many angles. The Shuriken have to fly like cross map and like do 2 damage, right? But it's still an AKM blade that takes like 3 minutes something to charge at passive charge, right?
The damage into the tank line.
And Dante throwing in a Riptire and getting OGE with just 20 seconds
this is
remaining here.
a big problem. They have one more fight left, 19 seconds, right? They're trying to stall. I'm not sure what Effect is doing there. He doesn't need to. Here's the AKM.
Come up huge with this. Pokes Architect a little bit. The healing comes in. Architect low.
Not bad, right?
Not bad, yeah, he gets the
Seagull
kill.
and Effect killed as well. This is going to have to be the best Dragon Blade
Forces.
ever. But into the Transcendence. Good
Trans.
luck. Unko comes in with his own Zen ultimate. And AKM back on the high ground, but we're into OT. Architect does get res.
It's just-
Effect drops one more time. They've got the Supercharger out as well. Not anymore. Everybody back in that hallway.
Why are you
AKM,
going
there's
in
only so
there,
much
man?
energy on their
Yeah.
own. Overtime expiring. And that's going to be pretty much Dallas.
And
forced
it's
out.
just-
Yes,
it's
another
just
one.
mod.
And even if Unko
It's
decides to
just
float his way
so
down
Jova.
here, it's going to be hard to keep this point going. That's a full hold.
Okay,
No
so
ticks taken
after this,
by Dallas.
we get everything under the sun, okay? We have an action video that explains what an AKM blade is and why
Yeah.
this is now a new unit of time, right? We have the entire community going wild, and we also have AKM being a good sport about it, right? Because this man knows, like, it's just like, you know, it's my job. What can I do? It's in itself, it's not a horrific play, okay? But I mean, it gets there, right? But it's also a guy that is not really supposed to
Yeah.
do much.
It's in the worst moments because it was memed on maybe so much.
Yes.
It's hard to ignore it at this point.
If you thought, oh, that's kind of bullshit, he knew, like, he can't really be expected to do better, well, I got just the play for you, my friends. It's the second worst. It's probably the worst play, a string of plays in the Overwatch League. It's, for some reason, when I think of this play, it's only in black and white because it's a tragedy. That's the thing you do not say during a eulogy. And also, this man's career died right after. It's hybrid.
We're ready to head into
London Spitfire, Britishman trying, you know, a Brit trying to live his dream in the Overwatch League. My lord. So, what we're seeing is actually not the live moment of that particular play.
Right.
We could, but it's actually much funnier if we look at the replay where they caught it, because it wasn't shown on in first
true.
person while it was happening. So they just keep
more
talking
capable
here
of
about
doing
the
so.
fight, and in a second,
We'll see
a replay will come
what they
in.
can do now, setting up for the next fight. that's
Also,
coming out.
just notice Brent.
Take a look at this replay. It's hybrid. Yeah, this is where it's. Oh, I mean that does. Okay, people are gonna be. Okay, I can't defend that. Yeah, I mean I was gonna defend it. Okay, the flash rank comes out. Sometimes some wonky stuff happens with the head hit.
Okay.
Like some
He
characters
misses,
they
like-
launch their head.
Right? Like it's like the way the emotional journey
It's a
that
blunder.
Bren goes through this play is
it's a
just
blunder.
like a thing. Such a just like, oh no.
People are gonna be.
People are going to be, you know, like they're going to like be not that kind to hybrid, you know, but they should what they should consider.
Okay, I can't defend that. Yeah, I mean I was gonna defend it. Okay, the flash rank comes out. Sometimes some
He
wonky
tried
stuff
so
happens
hard
with
to
the
get
head hit.
himself to. It's so real. It's insane.
There's nothing
It's
else
a-
to be said, is there? Yeah, you
Why did he not right click? If he just,
I mean,
you
they
know.
yeah. Look, I mean,
This is-
we've all
this
made bad
is-
decisions in high stakes.
Yeah. Nah, this is wild. Okay.
yeah.
It is probably like the worst like 6 mouse clicks in Overwatch League history. I don't think there's worse.
Okay.
Um,
So rather than picking on hybrid for the next 5 minutes, which would be very easy to do, that's potentially the worst solo play.
Yeah. I would say the worst
Overwatch League.
mechanical play that I remember at least.
Now for number one, I believe we're going to talk about the worst team
Right.
play decision
Right.
potentially in Overwatch League history. So talk us through what is probably the biggest C9 in Overwatch League history. And actually, kick things off, talk about what a C9 actually is, maybe, just for the uninitiated.
Okay, so like sometimes people will say C9 in your games, and like you might not understand what it means, but it's basically when someone in an overtime scenario or very close to overtime does not touch the objective, even though they very much could have, and therefore lose the match, especially, and actually it used to be just this definition, but sometimes people will be, you know, less pleasant in your games and will just C9 if you're only the last one against 5 on a point. But what it actually means is you practically won the fight, you just forgot about the objective. Initially, that came from the European team playing in South Korea under the C9 banner, Cloud9, that later on bought the franchise for London Spitfire, or would enter the Overwatch League as a London Spitfire. Became known during like due to like doing this repeatedly in moments, you know, in the heat of the moments. I will say you also have to contextualize this a little bit differently, because C9s used to be way rarer occurrences than they are now.
Sure.
I feel like there's an inflation of C9s now as we are on 5v5, because especially like the tanky characters are supposed to hold or stall cards, right? And sometimes like you have to do the gamble play where I'm like, where you're like, okay, if I do this and then maybe make it to card, this is actually the objectively best play that has the highest probability of wins, and sometimes you look stupid because you barely didn't touch. Okay, fair play. This is a wild one. It's Dallas Fuel against the Shanghai Dragons, and I mean, I feel like if you're a fan of Overwatch, you know this one. But let's just see what happens here. We can go a little bit into the mechanics in the background. I guess folks are aware, like it's also the case on push maps and whatnot. If you're in overtime, sometimes the payload will go into a scripted mode where you actually don't have to touch, because it goes through like its motions. It has to do its little breakdance or whatever in order to activate, and it's fine to not touch during that time. You do not have to contest. But once that it's over, you once again need to contest, right? Yeah. So watch this.
All right.
Oh, Youngjin.
Oh my god. That was actually a C9.
That is a big old C9.
Completely
Oh my
uncontested,
God.
okay?
Alright, well, what a C9 means is when you step off of an objective when a team
The-
fight is still in
yeah.
progress for
I mean,
one.
yeah. There's
How
no
do you
one there.
even how do you even engage your
Okay.
teammates after that? Right? Like how? So it's exactly like it's overtime. They are pushing their second way through. They won the fight, right?
Yeah.
Like the next couple of like let's say 20 meters are free. Okay, so talking about unforced errors, right? You had one job, my guy, and it's to just sit there and sit on the payload and take care of it a little bit. It's the whole Kanye meme of like taking care of a water bottle on a plane and how that's bothersome responsibility. Okay. Yes, yeah, like it's not Brake's job necessarily to hold the payload here, but my God, like
It's someone's job.
what like, and it's just also like in the context of the history of this franchise, right? How hard it was for a long time for these guys to get wins, right?
Yeah.
To be fair, this is I believe this is already like past them having gotten their first victory and whatnot, and they actually ended up in the end winning a stage. But I'm telling you what, that wasn't because of Youngjin. Arguably, there were similarly bad C9s. This was probably at that time the worst one.
So that
Yeah.
being the case, that is the worst moment in Overwatch League history, as defined by GGRecon and Yiska. And your Twitter followers, of course, as we must thank for giving us these lists over these last few days. Did we talk about what you think is the worst moment in Overwatch League history? If not, let us know down in the comments. We can argue it out over Christmas and into New Year as we get ready for the future of what Overwatch esports might look like. Who knows? So Yiska, thanks as always, and we'll be back in the new year to chat about all things Overwatch esports. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time.